All right. So let me paint a picture for you here on the 722nd episode. Jesus, I do a lot of these. Of the Day 9 Daily. We're in part 3, and we have shown you PigBaby's oh so sexiness. Delicious. You have become a master of this style. You are 1Aing your way to victory at the 16 to 16.5 minute mark with 43 Zealots, an assorted smattering of Archons, Colossus, and just enough Stalkers to make people consider a nerf on Blink. It's time to do something different. Because you know what? That one stubborn player has managed to solve your strategy. You're already #1 Grandmaster in the world. But there's that one Terran player who's gunning for #2. He doesn't get #1. He's not Protos, remember. But will be the opportunity for you to explore variations and deviations. Now here is my favorite type of opening. One that has detours where you can go do an all-in if you want. Well, not a detour. Detour would imply that you would get back on track, and we all know you're not doing that. I like a beautiful build with off-ramps into all-in territory. Very different from, I think, the typical way that people all-in. In all my experience watching billions of tournament games, there's this kind of funky thing that I'll see people do where they'll have a build, let's say it's command center, barracks, and then they'll go, I don't know if I can beat this guy. I gotta cheese him. And then they just go double proxy barracks in the middle of the map. Okay, I mean, okay, that's fine, but it's going to be extremely easy to read. Your opponent's going to walk up and he's going to see, oh my god, there's no expansion. He's cheesing me. I've cracked this guy. I mean, it's sort of like balancing your range, if you're familiar with that in poker. If you only ever bet huge when you're bluffing, and you bet small when you have a good hand because you're trying to extract value in your eyes, you're going to start losing a lot to a player who's paying attention. So that is why I like when poker players have those good balanced ranges, when they know exactly when to bet big both for value and know how to bet big for both value and as a bluff, and know how to bet small for value and as a bluff. So here we're going to see PigBaby do his usual opening, or I should say Protoss' usual opening. There's really no particular finesse involved here. Nothing amazing to be seen. And it looks like PigBaby, he starts to notice there's a few too many Marinis here. Not a terrifically large amount. Not big changes from PigBaby. He's gonna go ahead and he's gonna get a Stalker up first, and then yeah, he's just gonna expand. We see a sentry coming down, not a huge change. And upon feeling a little bit safe, right back to normal things. Right on up on back. Now PigBaby is still sort of preparing himself for what could be a potential threat, but has likely convinced himself, oh, you were feigning threatening moves with all your extra Mariner dudes. You were feigning that. And you've probably expanded. The attack should have come by now. So here's a very nice detour. You can get the early robo when, well, around the 5-minute mark is when we have been seeing PigBaby do this. I mean, this is absolutely the thing he does in, like, every single game. If you see a sentry, you're not going to be blown away as Bomber. You're not going to go, oh my god, it's a sentry, he must be all in. That's a very typical cautious play. And now, instead of getting the Observer, you have this opportunity to just chrono out the Immortals in one of the more standard all-in-ish plays. You could do the normal expand and do the normal robo with Immortal all-in. I'm showing this as sort of a response to a perceived aggression. But I like this. It's like a detour. Bomber, meanwhile, in his base, keeping some Marines back. You'll catch so many players with their pants down with this opening. It's a nice thing to be aware of. Notice how similarly PigBaby's play is to everything he has done previously. I wonder what Bomber did, or what PigBaby did to tip off Bomber. I don't think that's at all the important part of this little bonus game here. The fact that this has a very high percentage of winning, even in this moment where it's could be argued. Actually, how much was left? I think he almost had another time warp. Yeah, he was at 89. This mothership core is such an idiot, just waltzes herself forward. Like, I'll do it. If the mothership core stayed back, you can just time warp and stay alive. I mean, there's 9 workers that have been killed already. Army tabs showed fairly even, but once the mothership core goes down and stim gets done, this is where it begins to become hard to win. But still, with SCVs repairing, very difficult all-in to hold. I just want to throw that in your direction. You've been able to win with what we've seen in part 1 and 2. And now you're wondering, what else can I do? Well, you can do the same opening and mix up with this. Not particularly good on the ladder versus a random opponent. Obviously has some weakness, as we can see here. The purpose is not to try to trick you into thinking that this is an invincible play, or that any play in StarCraft is invincible. But it is to give you the sense of how to properly mix up your play in a way that will not betray your all-in. Because that's, I think, something that people do a lot. Like, alright, so what I'm going to do this game is I'm going to go for a big roach all-in on 2 bases. So you get a super early gas right at the time that your opponent can see you, and he's like, why is this guy suddenly getting early gas? Huh. Alright. Let's take some questions. SCM boost, day 9, how will strategy work against Zerg? It will work badly. Okay, Fear Dragon. Oh, what is up, Ravi? So I understand Blinkstalkers are good for picking off drops, but with so many Zealots, why not get charged first to create more mobility to handle drops and harder kiting for Terran? You just need the Blinkstalkers. Like, I want you to imagine. Okay, here's what happens. Here's what really goes down. He will drop, and okay, there's a lot of pieces to this. Okay, so if you don't have Blink, imagine 2 medevacs heading into the main base. What would be in that main base that would cause these medevacs to turn around? Stalkers that begin shooting at them? Well, you can see the stalkers. You can be moving like this and see stalkers here and go, oh, alright, boost and get ahead and then drop up here. So you generally, as Terran, do get to drop in the main base if there's just some stalkers or some small forces. Then you can pick off the stalkers, and yeah, there's Zealots with charge, but you can lift up. If the Colossus comes in, then you can boost over to the Colossus and unload on it, and the Zealots are trying to run up, but the medevacs will not get repelled. You're not looking to kill the things that drop out of the medevacs. You're looking to prevent the medevac drop from ever getting started. And you might say to yourself, well, okay, well, how about instead of just leaving stalkers in the main, I leave a whole bunch of Zealots and, like, some stalkers and other things. Think about how much you would need. You would need, like, 6 or 7 Zealots with the stalkers in the main, and a lot more Zealots and Colossus at the front, and suddenly your army's getting split. A lot. With Blink, you spend mostly gas getting this upgrade that allows you to do ridiculous damage control, ridiculous medevac control, with relatively few units. You're just looking to eliminate the medevacs before the units unload and pop out. Tortuga says, Day 9, when doing the 3-3 attack timing, taking fourth behind it, would you take gas on your third at the same time? Or focus all on minerals, zealots? Yeah, as actually when the 3-3's getting ready to get done, we do see the third base throw down the double gas. It's just not rushing for the gas to do super gas focus. I mean, the reason the mineral focus is good is because it's essentially a forge-focused mega attack play. And getting a lot of zealots makes a lot of use of those ups. But on the... so sleepy. On the fourth base, yeah, I mean, for the rest of the game, I think you can just play normal Protos vs. Terran. You can just go Colossus, Templar, you can get a second Robo. I mean, just do whatever the hell you want at that point. Guava Guy says, will there be Starbow dailies at all? Yes, I'm going to do some Starbow games at the end of July or early August. So Frito the Demon says, Danon, why did you say that Devil Forge was the correct choice when TaeJa's attack failed? Whenever an attack fails, you are now going to be safe for a little bit of time. Because he just lost all his units, so he has to rebuild those units. But also, since he went for an early attack, he couldn't have built all the things that would make a mid-game attack good. He can't have gotten a bunch of barracks and upgrades started early that would help in a mid-game attack. He spent all that money getting a factory and a starport and a medevac and dropping and harassing. So in general, any time an attack fails, you have a window where you are safe. Safe because he has no tools to apply pressure to you. What's a great way to make use of being safe? Spending money on something that has nothing to do with building an army. A nexus in expansion has nothing to do with building an army. Building that nexus is safe because there's a safe period where you can't do anything. You can do a big teching play, like you can go to Templar with Storm. You can go for Forge upgrades and other matchups. You maybe might tech to Hive. And I prefer specifically the Forge choice because it's a great thing to get started now during this safe period where he can't really attack us and stop us. And we're not spreading ourselves out on the map anymore. So we're not only really safe right now, but once we begin to get our Colossus and our Blink, we're still on 2 bases, so it's pretty easy to defend. My left thumb hurts. Like a boss says, what if a Terran goes around the map with a Raven and Viking, like in PvT with Banshees, to kill off observers? Ow, God. Ow, I am experiencing a massive pain in my thumb, and it's very random. Ooh! Oh, ouch. Okay. I completely forgot the question because I was disrupted by a very mild thumb pain. Oh yeah, the Raven to kill stuff off. I don't know, that could actually be pretty cool. That is very interesting. The reason I'm going so much is that if you were in some way able to get Raven going, if you're able to get Raven going and you're able to pick off observers, then you could spend all your energy on your command centers muling. So you'd get a pretty significant extra boost in money, maybe? Is that stupid? I'm trying to think of the build that would allow you to get the Raven that wouldn't be a huge inconvenience. And I don't know what that would be. Conceptually, there's something there. There's something there. Let's take one more. There's no more questions. Let's see. Toxic Foo says, wouldn't mass Hellbat counter the mass Zealots? You would think that. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up the HOTS unit tester and show you. Let's see here. Custom games. Arcade. An important thing to note is that it's thinking about the unit beating the other unit kind of is always a very dicey sort of analysis because of how rarely does that interaction actually happen. You'll very rarely have just Zealots hanging out versus just Hellbats hanging out. So, you know, let's do some tests, see what happens. So we're going to go Terran, we're going to get some Hellbats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's just do this. 3-3 versus 0-0. I think that as easy as it might be to consider Zealots versus Hellbats, I mean, you can see that the Zealots just wreck the Hellbats. And I could go back and make them exactly even in number, but Terran is not going to want to skew their composition this far into the Hellbat territory. I mean, Hellbats, I think what I'm trying to say is that Hellbats by themselves suck against Zealots, like a lot. So we could say, alright, well let's actually go for the more realistic composition that has slightly fewer Hellbats, because Terran's not going to want to overcommit to Hellbats, but let's give Blue Flame in there. Well, now you have a problem where you're actually going for Bionic play. You're actually getting quite a lot of investment in there. And this looked very pretty. So, how do you get the... Well, actually, I do know a time when you could get the Hellbat, but you kind of or the Blue Flame. It's trying to get those in there. So, you know, here's another test. I want to go back. Because, like, if you look at the situation, you can see, let's go, vehicle weapons without Blue Flame. Let's actually just be generous and do vehicle weapons +2. Unlikely that you'll have armor with a normal build. Certainly you could do a brand new build. It's all super Hellbat focused, but I mean, you're talking about a really broad strategy. I'm trying to work with something closer to what Terrans already have. And Flame Priest says, Dana, I wouldn't counter this style, even though the Colossus are there. Whatever argument you'd want to make about mech, you're against a player with 5 observers super fast. So he can spot you super early and just do something different. So there's really no such thing as saying, how does this play, or could mech beat this? Because we don't even know if mech would ever be against this. A player who begins to go mech is almost certainly going to be up against a Protoss, completely switching plan. So that's that. I'm gonna close out, and then I'll hang out a little after we close out the show. I'm just gonna use the restroom. I'll be back in a few minutes to hang out, but that's the end of the show. I'll see you tomorrow for some Hearthstone.